Pokemon! It's
Neglected childhood. If you were anything like me growing up in the early 2000s, then you know just how awesome it was. We had shoes with wheels in them, frosted tips, and purple ketchup. I mean, come on, doesn't that make you just want to eat a glizzy? Okay, it's a little gross. But for some, the highlight of the era was video games. We had moved on since the early 3D era. Boobies in games were now mostly round instead of pointy Doritos, because I need my jiggle physics. If you were also like me growing up during the new millennium, you knew one hard truth. You are not allowed to play Grand Theft Auto. According to parents in every home in America and the most unbiased news networks across the nation, that game, that filth, is the most unsavory, unholy, and un-American piece of media to ever seep its way into the hands of the innocent. Oh, what's that? You want to watch The Simpsons, an adult animated series with themes that are oftentimes a little too much for a younger audience? Oh yeah, go right ahead. Sure, that's fine. Well, what if I told you that there was a game in the golden era of games that meshes these two things together? Beloved American animated series that parents are really okay with, and one of the best video game franchises of all time. Today, we're taking a look at The Simpsons Hit and Run. I was going to spend a segment on this video and who the Simpsons are, but there's a good chance everyone watching this video has seen Homer go, don't. But just in case you didn't know, The Simpsons are loved globally, and it is an American animated series that's been on TV since the early 90s, and has made just about $1 gazillion in merchandise. So with the rise in popularity of home console gaming in the 90s, it made sense to put The Simpsons in a new, fresh, untapped market known as movie TV licensed video games. There's two issues with that. While making a video game about Terminator or Die Hard makes a lot of sense, there's action, shooting, bad guys, how do you make a video game about a fictional satirization of an all-American family with banana yellow skin? It feels weird. Mainly because it is weird. So, while making movie tie-in games makes a lot of sense on paper, in practice they don't work very well for a variety of reasons. Mainly because they suck. E.T. on Atari, for example, was so bad that it's accused of being the straw that broke the camel's back that crashed the home video game market. The E.T. situation was so bad, and this is true, I can't believe this is true, but this is very true, that Atari actually took all of the unused, unsold copies and cartridges of E.T. and buried them in the New Mexico desert. Besides an arcade game from Konami, the Simpsons games just didn't match the quality of the show. They even tried making parodies of extremely popular video games at the time. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Essentially, take some of the very good Simpsons writing formula and apply that to popular culture of the time, which in the late 90s were video games like WWE Wrestling, Crazy Taxi, and games with earth-shattering success like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. However, like a lot of the movie tie-in games, they had a bunch of issues, but the most important being, again, that they were bad, even for parodies. So given the track record of Simpsons games, when you find out that Hit and Run is a parody of Grand Theft Auto 3, the bar is low. I'm happy to say that not only does it surpass expectations, but it also isn't too far off in quality compared to the GTAs of the time, which is why today it's considered to be a fan favorite, and honestly a cult classic. The Simpsons Hit and Run was released on September 16, 2003 in North America across GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2, developed by Radical Entertainment, and is a parody of the Grand Theft Auto series taking place in a semi-open world within the town of Springfield. Our story begins with an all-too-familiar Simpsons opening, except this time with a swarm of angry wasps descending from an eerie green light. We then find Homer doing as Homer do, which is a lot of nothing. After destroying a concerningly large wasp, Homer is then interrupted by Krusty shilling a new and improved Buzz Cola product, and thanks to Homer's appetite, our adventure begins. You are then immediately placed into the open world with Springfield ready to explore as the Simpsons uncover the mystery of spooky green lights, surveillance vans, and a helping of classic Simpsons antics. Before I sing this game's praises, and there's a lot of great stuff to talk about here, I think I should point out what I think is the game's biggest weakness, and that's presentation. When we look at older games or games that we remember dearly from our youth and come back to play them later in life, sometimes these graphics can be a letdown. The Simpsons Hit and Run, unfortunately, is a very mixed bag. It isn't the worst looking game ever, especially considering its age, but textures in the game are very inconsistent. While most of Springfield looks okay, simply looking beyond your normal perspective behind the wheel reveals some unfinished work. Inside the Simpsons house in the Quickie Mart, it looks great. Look past the hills in level 1, however, and it's not so great. Developers often hide things you're not supposed to see, like ugly textures with a bunch of different tricks, except here in the Simpsons Hit and Run, it's not so hidden. A majority of the vehicles in the game look great and are modeled fairly well, except there are some vehicles that are forced convertibles, which I assume is due to clipping issues. And NPC vehicles don't even have animations to get in and out of the vehicles, just a cut to black. There's even some vehicles in-game that are used as props to block certain areas that are clearly of much less quality.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
On a side note, while I can clearly tell that I'm looking at the all-American physique of Homer Simpson, he just doesn't look right in 3D, and I can't help but think that if the developers had used cell shading, it would have looked a little bit better and not so Treehouse of Horror. I'd also like to argue that the GTAs at the time don't look so great either, and I'm not really sure why people were complaining about ugly character models in the GTA Trilogy remake. I mean, come on, look at this!
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
Radical Entertainment not hiding these blemishes suggests that there was a rushed development, which some of the team have spoken on since. Gameplay is heavily inspired by the GTA series. The Simpsons Hit and Run is a semi-open world game where you'll complete missions all through the means of motor vehicle. You can start missions similar to GTA by finding a character on the map who's handing out missions located by your mini-map. You'll be driving, racing, crashing, pretty much everything that you do in Grand Theft Auto, just here you won't find a gun, or a drug, or a
Ahoa.
Mission structure by today's standards is a little repetitive, seeing as there's only a few mission types that are used in some variation. Race to the finish, collect items in a certain amount of time, ram enemy vehicles and collect items in a certain amount of time, destroy a vehicle in a certain amount of time, escape or follow a vehicle in a certain amount of time. I mean, listen, Homer's on the clock here. He's got no time to fool around. And speaking of fooling around, this game doesn't. Besides being a charming and genuinely funny game, it's also known for its difficulty spike, which, as frustrating as it is, I actually think keeps the game fresh. After level 3, there are some serious tough spots. What this game lacks in boss fights, it makes up for in raising your blood pressure because you didn't cut a corner hard enough. Level 7's last few missions will test anybody's grit. As you progress through the game, vehicles get faster and tougher, timers get shorter and shorter as you try and solve this cola caper. Bonus missions are always provided by other Simpsons characters, where in helping them they will provide their vehicle to use. Almost all tasks in the Simpsons Hit and Run provide reward. That includes the optional races found in each level, which after completing them will grant you access to a hidden vehicle varying in usefulness. In some cases you will need to choose the right vehicle, as some are better than others, which are fairly well modeled and lore friendly. It's kind of hard to imagine that you can find over 3 dozen iconic vehicles from The Simpsons to put in a video game, but hey, they're all here. Homer's pink sedan, Mr. Plow, Canyonero, even Snake's little bandit. They all make an appearance. All of the unlocked vehicles can be accessed at any time from the handy phone booths sprinkled around town, which honestly is a feature I wish GTA had. Progressing story and collecting lore-friendly vehicles isn't all there is to do. After all, this is an open-world game. Sort of. The maps are more like tracks or circuits that have places to stop and explore, which for the time was okay. It feels like you're driving around Springfield, and that's really what you want for a game like this. As seen here by this very highly detailed artist rendition, the maps are all connected in a circuit, adding to the idea that all of Springfield has gone car racing crazy. When you're not driving around causing vehicular mayhem, you're on foot exploring, most likely looking for coins to purchase extras. However, there is some interesting stuff to see, like the in-game gags that are actually required for 100% completion, or more notably, the collector cards, which are found in hidden areas across the game, each referencing a golden moment from The Simpsons' golden era. References like Homer's bowling ball, the Mr. Sparkle box, and that one time Marge made a viral video.
Hey everyone, Marge Simpson again.
Hit and Run shares a lot of DNA with GTA, but I firmly believe it does some things better. The Simpsons Hit and Run is not as large in scale as the GTAs at the time, however, I'd argue it is a more rewarding exploration. Both games have aged well and poorly at the same time. It's still fun to drive around in both games, however, Hit and Run really manages to nail that arcade driving style, as crazy as it is.
Sometimes my road rage is actually home rage that I bring onto the highway.
In a nutshell, I think Hit and Run still handles fairly well for a 20-year-old game, despite some sucky platforming and fighting the camera in certain spots. The game has decent controls. Accelerate, handbrake, everything you'd expect a racing game to have, with assigned buttons that have been industry standard for a long time. Which you could say the exact same thing about GTA. Bad camera controls, aged combat, and funny writing are something you'll find in both games. You just won't find in The Simpsons. Hit and Run is full of references from the show and does have some genuine funny moments in comedy from characters you know and love. This is what makes Hit and Run really stand out amongst other movie tie-in games. They have the original cast doing voices and a team of passionate people writing true to the source material.
Willie, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I've got to sell my beloved tractor. My father's been thrown in the clink for football hooliganism, and I've no money for his bail.
Well, I certainly could use a tractor around the house for hauling away Homer's empties.
Funny dialogue, visual jokes, and gags are well integrated into the game. Even some of the missions are funny by nature, like when Homer has to return all of Ned Flanders' stolen stuff, Marge finding pills so Grandpa can remember something, or trying to get a UFO to explode by ramming nuclear waste up its tractor beam. That doesn't sound right. My point is, the game is well written for a GTA clone set in the Simpsons universe. It's not funny because it needed to be, it's funny because they wanted it to be. Lastly, I wanted to touch on music, which I've been playing throughout this video. Pretty good, right? The soundtrack is fantastic in my opinion. It's full of wild and exhilarating music to accompany high-speed chases and crashes, but also, there's just some really charming music. The Mafia music, Homer's Day, and my personal favorite, the Simpsons Hotline, which plays during the phone booth selection screen. The game's composers have made a catchy, original soundtrack that not only matches the game's art style and wild gameplay, but also incorporates classic Simpsons sound bits into tracks. There's even character-specific music cues that play every time a character gets in and out of a vehicle, which then plays the level music. Homer with lethargic tubas, Lisa with smooth saxophones, and Bart with electric guitar riffs. It's very well mixed and very cool. It's these little touches that make driving a snowplow you bought from your dad to collect a load of escaped monkeys so a local quack doctor can give you a blender oh so fun. Yeah, that's actually a mission in-game, but you don't care how silly it is because you're enjoying the music. Right up until the timer runs out and you have to start again. At least you get to listen to the music again though, right? It's kind of cool. In conclusion, The Simpsons Hit and Run isn't a perfect game. Like a lot of games over 2 decades old, they have age spots. Graphics are mixed, textures are sometimes unfinished and ugly, but that's not a lot different than GTA of the time. For a Simpsons-style GTA knockoff, Hit and Run does a lot right. The game has tight driving controls, a world that's fun to race and crash a wide variety of lore-friendly vehicles in. Sure, it doesn't have combat, but trying to fire a weapon in Vice City is painful. Hit and Run does away with things that GTA was struggling with even then, like a massive open world with loading screens, violence that upset parents everywhere, and the lack of not one single hoa. A game that was complemented by a great soundtrack that feels like you're watching an episode of The Simpsons as well as playing it. Chock full of references from the show's golden era for fans and newcomers alike. The original cast lent their voices to a funny and original story that's not only funny during missions, but also while exploring for gags and cutscenes.
Oh, homie, you're so sexy when you're paranoid.
But above all, it's the game that gave us kids who were deprived of GTA a chance to be free. It may sound stupid, but that's what made GTA so appealing to us in the first place. Well, that and besides parents treating it like the forbidden apple. I mean, they really didn't want us playing GTA. But it was just freedom. Just to walk around the city streets, drive a car whenever you wanted, and not follow a set track or goal. Play along with traffic or don't. Keep the car in pristine condition or turn into a smoldering wreck. Who cares? It's up to you. The violence, the storytelling, or anything else truthfully didn't matter until we were old enough to understand such adult themes. It was just about the freedom in a time where most games didn't offer that. Hit and Run isn't anywhere as close to as violent as GTA, but the DNA is there. And it could almost be considered GTA Junior or GTA Lite. So while parents were not okay with GTA, they were okay with The Simpsons, and they were okay with The Simpsons Hit and Run. And that was okay with me because the game is a classic and absolutely has my cheese seal of approval. Before I go, I just want to thank everyone for watching. If you enjoyed, consider dropping a like or subscribe. It would be really cool to bring this kind of content to a bigger audience. If you thought I was kind of funny, then come check out my stream on Twitch. I'll leave a link in the description. I stream every weekend, 8 to midnight Eastern Time. And in a couple weeks, I'll actually be attempting my first ever 100% speed run of the Simpsons Hit and Run live on Twitch. Pretty cool. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Come check it out, guys. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you soon for more videos like this. Bye, guys.